Hello dear friends, welcome back again to another video from my YouTube channel. Dear friends, in our previous video we discussed about the pollen-pistil interaction. In the pollen-pistil interaction, we have seen how the pollen grains are recognized, how the pollen grains are selected, how the pollen grains are rejected, and by end of the pollen-pistil interaction, we have studied that the pollen tube made the entry into the ovule. And there are three possible entries: porogamy, mesogamy, and chalazogamy. In this video, we are going to understand one more very important process, one more very interesting event happening during the sexual reproduction in flowering plants, that is double fertilization. First, we'll discuss the basic things about double fertilization, then we'll understand the entire process of double fertilization in detail. Double fertilization was first discovered by a German scientist. His name is Strasburger. He discovered the double fertilization event in the angiosperm in the year 1884. While he was studying the lilium plant. That means double fertilization event was discovered by a German scientist, Strasburger, in 1884 in lilium plant. Now let us understand the double fertilization event in detail with the help of this diagram, and by the end of our discussion we'll try to define what is double fertilization. Before we define the double fertilization, before we discuss the process in detail, what do you mean by fertilization? This word we have studied in the first chapter, Reproduction in Organisms. Fertilization, it is also called as a syngamy. Fertilization means the fusion of haploid male gamete with a haploid female gamete to form a diploid zygote. That process is called as fertilization. The fusion of a sperm and egg results into the formation of zygote. That is simply called as fertilization. But in plants, it is called as a double fertilization. Why it is called as double fertilization in plants, we'll understand by the end of our discussion. In our previous video, under the heading of pollen-pistil interaction, what we have seen is the pollen grain is dropped on the stigma and it gets germinated, it produces the pollen tube, and the pollen tube made the entry into the ovule guided by the filiform apparatus of any one of the synergid. Now, the pollen tube entered into the ovule through the synergid. That synergid get degenerated, but we have another synergid intact. After made the entry of the pollen tube into the ovule, the tip of the pollen tube breaks. The tip of the pollen tube breaks. As a result of that, the two male gametes, they are released in the embryo sac. These two are the male gametes. They get released in the embryo sac by breaking the tip of the pollen tube. Now, the question arises, why the two male gametes released? These two male gametes are the results of mitosis in the generative cell of the pollen grain. As a result of that, there are two male gametes released in the embryo sac. This male gamete, it moved towards the polar nuclei or secondary nucleus. It made a move towards the polar nuclei. Another male gamete, it moved towards the egg cell. Two male gametes are released in the embryo sac. One is moving towards the secondary nucleus and the other male gamete is moving towards the egg cell, which is situated above the synergy. Now, this male gamete fuses with the egg cell. Whereas this male gamete, there are two male gametes. One male gamete fuses with the egg cell and the other male gamete fuses with the secondary nucleus or polar nucleus or central cell. Out of two male gametes, I am repeating again and again to understand this, because it is very, very important for board and competitive exams, my dear friends. Out of two male gametes released by the pollen tube, one male gamete fuses with the egg cell, other male gamete fuses with the polar nuclei. That means how many fusion takes place here, my dear friends? This is the first fusion and this is the second fusion. That is why it is called as double fertilization. Now, one male gamete fuses with the egg cell, other male gamete fuses with the secondary nucleus. The male gamete which fuses with the egg cell, it forms the zygote. The male gamete that fuses with the egg, it forms the zygote, and here there is a haploid nucleus of the egg and there is a haploid nucleus of the male gamete. Haploid plus haploid, it becomes the diploid condition. This fertilization event, it is also called as syngamy. Why it is called as syngamy? Because of formation of the zygote. Because of the fusion of the haploid male gamete with the haploid egg cell, it results into the formation of zygote, which is diploid. That is why it is called as syngamy. This is one fertilization event. This is the first fertilization event. Now the second fertilization takes place at the center of the embryo sac, where the polar nuclei is located. There are two haploid nucleuses which are polar nuclei, and another male gamete that fuses with the polar nuclei. Totally here there is a fusion of three nucleuses. Two nucleuses belongs to the polar nuclei and one nucleus that belongs to the male gamete. Hence, this event, it is called as triple fusion. Why it is called as triple fusion? Why it is called as syngamy? It is called as triple fusion because here three nucleuses get fused together. That is why it is triple fusion. Here two nucleuses, one is from male, other is from female. They fuse to form the zygote. It is called as syngamy. Here the syngamy results into the formation of zygote, whereas triple fusion results into the formation of primary endosperm nucleus. Primary endosperm nucleus. Primary endosperm nucleus. How is this primary endosperm nucleus? Whether it is haploid, diploid or triploid? Yes, my dear friends, it is triploid in its nature, whereas zygote is diploid in its nature. There are two fertilization events. That is why it is called as double fertilization. It is also called as triple fusion. Why it is called as triple fusion? Because the male gamete fuses with the two nuclei of polar nuclei. That is why it is called as triple fusion. This zygote in future, it continuously divides by mitosis and results into the formation of embryo. In future, it results into the formation of embryo, which is also a diploid. Whereas this primary endosperm nucleus, in future, it is also undergoing mitotic divisions, and results into the formation of PEC first, primary endosperm cell, and this primary endosperm cell in future it grow into the endosperm. The end result of the triple fusion is endosperm, and the end result of the first fusion double fertilization is this one. That means after double fertilization, two very important structures are formed. One is endosperm and another one is embryo. Now, let us try to define the double fertilization in a scientific way. Double fertilization means pollen tube releases how many male gametes? Pollen tube releases 2 male gametes. One fuses with egg cell to form what? To form zygote. Other fuses with polar nuclei to form endosperm. Hence, 2 fertilization events occur. This is called double fertilization. This is the scientific definition of double fertilization. Double fertilization means pollen tube releases the 2 male gametes. One male gamete fuses with the egg cell, other male gamete fuses with the secondary nucleus. That means there are 2 fertilization events takes place in the entire embryo sac. This is called as double fertilization. Here 3 nucleuses get fused. That is why it is also called as triple fusion. It was first discovered by a Strasburger scientist in the year 1884 in lilium plant. I hope you people have got an idea about double fertilization and triple fusion. In our next video, we are going to discuss about what are the structures and events after fertilization in the flowering plants. I hope you people have got an idea. My dear friends, please like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel and share among your friends. Thank you so much.